girl makes OnlyFans content and has a single mom. Should I date her?
Well, that's like saying, hey, and I've talked to so many military guys, especially Marines and Army guys are famous for that. Going to a titty bar, meeting a girl, having a whirlwind romance when they're home and leave, and 2 weeks later getting married. And then they go back and get deployed, and meanwhile, while they're deployed, she's fucking, all of his friends back home and sleeping around. And then, eventually he finds out that his wife is cheating on him. It's like...
But they get better pay, though.
Yeah, it's better pay.
It's not
But
much.
if she's doing OnlyFans and, selling pictures of the baloney curtains or her feet or whatever it happens to be and inviting attention from other men, you're basically dating a sex worker or a stripper. And typically, not in all cases, but overwhelming majority of cases, when you're dating those kinds of women, there's usually lots of drugs involved. There's lots of trailer park type stuff that goes on, a lot of ratchet shit, cheating. Like, it's funny, one of my dad's tenants, who just passed away in the last year, she actually was like the den mother for a very famous strip club in South Florida. And so she was the one that all the girls went to when they were having problems with their boyfriends, or they had drug problems, or whatever happened to be. She was the one that kind of stepped in and solved all that shit for the strip club. And so those kind of women, if you think about it, it's if somebody's a lady, if she's going to be your wife or your girlfriend and she's going to be loyal and faithful to you, then she's not going to be, in essence, publicly advertising the taco stand.
Yeah. What happens if she's an ex-OnlyFans girl, but her stuff's already out there?
Well, you got to deal with that. It's because character is destiny. The real thing that matters is what's the character of the woman that you're dealing with. And unfortunately, people that do those kinds of things, strippers, sex workers, the OnlyFans type girls that do those kinds of things, usually what you find is there's no dad. They came from a broken home. They don't have a good relationship with their father. And so they get involved in doing those kinds of things. And if you're a family-oriented dude and you want your woman to be loyal to you, you probably shouldn't, those kind of women, it's like, when I was younger, this stuff was kind of understood in common sense that, hey, strippers are great and fuck buddy, friends with benefits, sex playmate, but most people are not going to wife up a stripper. And, I'm sure there'll be probably some strippers that watch this, because every time I talk about it, I get a few of them that get pissed off and, yell at me in the comments or whatever. But statistically, those are the numbers. But there are a small percentage of girls that go and they do those things and they have their act together. But the majority of them, it's just, you have a much higher incidence that things are not going to go well. Because if a woman grows up without a father or a strong masculine presence, a grandfather, an uncle, a stepdad, or somebody to teach her how to be a lady and hold her accountable and teach her honesty and integrity and how to be a good human being, then they typically grow up not knowing which guys to trust or not trusting men in general. And women that don't trust men typically are a real pain in the ass to deal with. So the odds are not good. I personally I wouldn't date a stripper long-term relationship-wise. When I was younger, yes, I did date strippers, but it's like you kind of know what you're getting into when you get involved with those kinds of women. That's just a fact of life.
What about I've seen like men, their girlfriends are strippers and they don't mind it. Like they're in relation, they date him for years. Like, how much money did you bring home tonight, toots? Like.
Character is destiny. Is she going to be loyal and faithful to that guy? The statistically, the numbers are that there's just a high incidence of women from broken homes, and they got drug and alcohol and boyfriend problems, multiple baby daddies, and shit like that. They don't make good choices. There was nobody to teach them responsibility, and they just completely are driven by their emotions. And so since they just live off their emotions, wherever their emotions take them, even if it's a bad decision, they're flowing down the stream. They're just going with the flow. So the odds are not in your favor that it's going to work out. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Statistically, it doesn't look good. Character is destiny.
I wouldn't want someone who takes the easy route to success either, like that way to make money and big amounts of money, because they're always going to get comfortable with having that amount, like that load, and they'll never be able to work like a normal job where they're actually there for hours.
Yeah, and they're always like, oh, well, if I can make more money, if I can make more money doing this, the risk is always higher.
Yeah.
You get more pay, but then now your girlfriend who was just taking her clothes off is now doing different things with these men, fellatios or sex now.
Like, to what extent are you going to go?
Now they're doing porn. Now she's in porn instead of being,
Well, it's like my friend that I grew up with, we were talking about the other
yeah.
day, grew up across the street from me. Her dad was a very high up in a law enforcement agency down in South Florida. I'm not going to say which one. But her dream had always been to, be a cop someday. And when she was, she was in college, 2021 or whatever, she got a job at a very famous strip club in town, fully clothed, just one of the girls that walked around in kind of the skimpy outfits, low cut, blouse type of thing, just serving drinks. Then eventually, to make more money, she started tending bar. And then, she befriended a lot of the girls that worked there, hung out with them, started doing coke and other things, and eventually it led her to a downward spiral to where, she ended up taking her own life. And this girl was beautiful. She went to the same high school that I did, same Catholic high school, had every thing laid out for her, and she made a lot of bad choices, got involved with some bad people, and it ended her life. So it can go in a really bad direction really, really quickly. So if you want a family-oriented, good woman to be a mom to your children, probably somebody that's a stripper or a sex worker or OnlyFans girls, it wouldn't be my first choice. And statistically, it doesn't work out for most guys with those kinds of women. That's just a fact of life. Some women are for fun and having a good time, and then there are other women that are more family-oriented. And a lot of the dudes that have, big YouTube channels these days tend to have those kinds of girls on, and they try to convince their audience that, hey, this is all modern women, as if this is the only thing that's out there. And then you got guys watching these shows that already can't get laid, and when this stuff is presented to them, they adopt the belief because, hey, it's not my fault. They don't have to take any ownership that the reason girls don't like them is not because of how they're showing up, modern women, or it's society. And it just keeps them in a loop of being lonely and single and angry and pissed off and hating women. And they show up in our comments bitching and complaining and saying nasty things. It's like, guys that are in that state, women obviously don't like them, and they're not having good experiences. They're not liked by women, and they don't like women themselves.